First contact, final mistake. The skies above Earth shimmered as something vast descended. An alien vessel, obsidian black and impossibly massive, eclipsing the sun over the Pacific. Its arrival triggered global panic, but it didn't attack. Not yet. Every screen on Earth flickered and changed. Broadcasts were hijacked. A towering, reptilian figure appeared, draped in silver armor and surrounded by floating glyphs. Its voice echoed in hundreds of languages simultaneously. Primitive species of Sol 3. I am High Executor Elira of the Drakari Dominion. You now belong to the Galactic Concord. Surrender your planet. Resist and be extinguished. In that moment, the world held its breath. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for centuries. Some hoped for enlightenment. Others feared conquest. But none expected arrogance so bold, nor threats so blatant. At the United Nations Emergency Summit, Earth's leaders, historically fractured, spoke with one voice for the first time in centuries. The Terran Accord was born. Scientists, generals, hackers, and rogue AIs joined forces under one flag. And their reply, sent across the stars, was brief. No. Enraged, the Drakari made their example. A pulse of violet energy shot from the alien warship, vaporizing the International Space Station and frying every satellite above 300 kilometers. The night sky dimmed. Global networks collapsed. They thought fear would break us. Instead, it united us. Underground bunkers lit up from Nevada to Novosibirsk. Old Cold War doomsday plans were dusted off and rewritten in weeks. Engineers tore apart downed alien drones with screwdrivers and blowtorches. Weapons labs ran nonstop. Earth's militaries adapted, fast. In orbit, a small group of engineers aboard the secretive Artemis defense platform had been spared. With only scraps and desperation, they rigged a series of electromagnetic coils into a makeshift railgun. When a Drakari scout ship passed overhead, they fired. The projectile, no guidance system, no warhead, punched through the scout's shielding and tore it in half. That was the first confirmed alien kill by humanity. The crew wrote, "Welcome to Earth," on the next shell. Watching from the bridge of the Drakari command vessel, Elira narrowed her reptilian eyes. This world was supposed to kneel. Instead, it fought like a beast cornered and baring its teeth. "They are feral," she muttered. From a command center deep beneath Geneva, Admiral Rieland Voss watched data streams flicker in and out. A former physicist turned war commander, he saw the chaos for what it truly was, an opportunity. "They expect a surrender," he said, turning to his officers. "We'll give them something they never considered, a counterattack." Earth was bloodied, not broken. Humanity had never fought aliens before, but had fought itself, brutally, constantly. And every war, every betrayal, every revolution had tempered them for this moment. The galaxy didn't know it yet, but it had just made the worst mistake in its history. Forged in fire, the wreckage of the downed Drakari cruiser smoldered across the Martian surface. Its hull split, its crew either dead or captured. A crimson sky stretched over the twisted remains of alien steel. To most, it was a battlefield. To Earth's engineers, it was a gift. Inside a newly established bunker beneath Olympus Mons, scientists, cyberneticists, and engineers swarmed over the alien vessel's carcass like ants on a fallen predator. The prize? A functioning Drakari AI core, intact, encrypted, and pulsing with dark, alien code. "It thinks in trinary logic," muttered Dr. Elsie Navarro, adjusting her Neuralink visor. "This thing doesn't just process, it predicts." "What's it predicting now?" asked Admiral Rieland Voss, standing beside her with arms crossed. Navarro smiled grimly. "That we're not supposed to be this smart." Earth's reverse engineering efforts exploded overnight. With the AI's neural mesh and salvaged warp schematics, Earth launched Project Iron Rebirth, an initiative to turn humanity's desperation into dominance. Factories on Earth, Luna, and Mars began crafting humanity's first interstellar warships, not carbon copies of alien designs, but vicious hybrids of human tenacity and alien efficiency. Kinetic weapons replaced plasma cannons. Nuclear propulsion fused with alien slipstream drives. Human warships weren't sleek. They were angular, armored, and terrifyingly overpowered for their size. 6 months later, 30 newly christened vessels formed the Terran First Fleet. Commander Aisha Cade stood at the helm of its flagship, the dreadnought Revenant. A survivor of the orbital bombardment, Cade had earned her scars during Earth's darkest hours. Now, she led humanity's first step into the stars. The fleet's first test came sooner than expected. A Concorde strike force, 50 ships strong, intercepted them near Titan's orbit, expecting an easy kill. After all, the Drakari had defeated civilizations 10 times older than humanity. But humans fought differently. While Concorde ships moved in rigid formations, Terran vessels split, scattered, and attacked from unpredictable angles. Decoy drones lured the enemy into asteroid belts, where human captains detonated pre-placed mines. Nuclear warheads, archaic by galactic standards, blasted through alien shielding in brutal close-range barges. And then came the Revenant. Cade's ship used a gravity slingshot maneuver, arcing around Saturn at impossible speeds. Her crew fired a triple-rail kinetic barrage through the heart of the Concorde flagship, splitting it like wet paper. By battle's end, 46 Concorde vessels had been reduced to debris. Humanity had lost only 5. Back on the Drakari command station, strategist HFY reviewed the battle footage in silence. His claws tapped the desk, his eyes fixed on the human fleet's chaotic tactics. These creatures, he muttered, they adapt too fast. He turned to the High Council's projection. We are not fighting primitives. We are fighting a species forged in conflict. We must crush them now, before they learn too much. But it was already too late. Humanity had taken the tools of their would-be conquerors and turned them into weapons of war. In months, they had done what no enslaved world ever had. They fought back, and they won. The Empire bleeds. The stars above the Concorde colony of Velrian shimmered with unnatural light. Then they twisted, space folding inward, and from the breach emerged the Terran First Fleet. They came without warning. No diplomatic broadcast. No offer of surrender. Just vengeance. Admiral Rylan Voss stood aboard the command bridge of the Vindicator, flanked by screens streaming real-time fleet maneuvers. Below them, the once proud Concorde shipyards orbited Velrian, unshielded, unaware. Begin, he ordered, calm as a blade. Dozens of Terran warships fired in unison. Hyper-accelerated projectiles streaked through space, piercing orbital platforms and splitting defense stations in two. Flames and wreckage spilled from the heavens. It was the first offensive strike deep inside Concorde territory, and it worked. The aliens had never imagined that a species from a single backwater system could penetrate this far, this fast. But humanity had turned desperation into innovation. They'd mastered warp infiltration, stolen Concorde encryption codes, and engineered stealth drives that bent light around their hulls. They were no longer reacting. They were hunting. Commander Aisha Cade's Revenant led the liberation of Velrian's surface. It wasn't a tactical necessity. It was symbolic. The planet had once housed hundreds of thousands of enslaved peoples from conquered races. Now they watched in awe as Terran drop pods slammed into the surface like thunder. Cade's voice rang out from orbital loudspeakers in every dialect the planet knew. This is Commander Cade of the Terran Accord. The Concorde failed you. You're no longer subjects. You are free. A riot of voices answered, not with fear, but with cheers. Velrian's shackles fell, both literal and figurative. Species long broken by Concorde oppression raised banners painted with Earth's blue and green. They chanted a new name. Terra, Terra, Terra. Across the stars, rebellions ignited. Word of the liberation spread faster than the Concorde could suppress it. Slaves became soldiers. Saboteurs disabled reactors. Concorde garrisons vanished overnight. Inside the Concorde's War Council, panic replaced arrogance. They're destabilizing entire sectors in weeks, a general shouted. Strategist HFY remained silent. He had warned them. Now he spoke again. We try to rule them as we ruled others. We fail. He gestured to a hologram of the Terran fleet's expansion. It pulsed like wildfire across the star map. They do not simply conquer, they inspire. Every world they touch becomes a weapon against us. In a last-ditch effort, the High Council authorized total war, planetary sterilizations, mass bombardments, the deployment of war breeds once banned for their savagery. They called it the Purge Doctrine. But even as the first orders went out, Earth was already preparing its next move. In a command meeting beneath Titan's icy crust, Admiral Voss pointed to the Concorde's inner sectors. 3 key systems: warp relays, manufacturing hubs, fleet depots. We hit all of them within 30 days. A captain raised an eyebrow. You're proposing we tear the heart out of a 10,000-year-old empire? Voss nodded. No, he said. I'm promising it. The old empires were bleeding now, and humanity was far from done. The fear of empires. The Concorde's last hope floated in the void near the Galactic core. A colossal Dyson array weapon, still under construction but already terrifying in scale. Built to harness the power of a star, it could unleash beams capable of sterilizing entire systems in a single pulse. They called it the Scourge of Dawn. It was meant to end the war, to erase Earth, to make an example so brutal that no rebellion would ever rise again. But they had run out of time. The Terran fleet was already en route. Aboard the Revenant, her hull patched and scarred from a dozen campaigns, Commander Aisha Cade stared at the holographic projection of the superweapon. Looks unfinished, said her XO. Cade shook her head. Doesn't matter. It's functional enough to kill a planet. We can't let it fire. We hit it now, hard and fast. 3 Terran fleets converged from different sectors, warping in under cover of jamming arrays and decoy signals. At the same time, infiltration teams, augmented humans, ex-slave commandos, and rogue Concorde defectors boarded the station under stealth shrouds, cutting through defenses from the inside. Above, in the black silence of space, the final battle began. Hundreds of Concorde vessels surged from hidden bays. Supercapital dreadnoughts armed with star lances locked on to Terran ships. But the humans came prepared. Warp bombers blinked in and out of space, leaving trails of gravitational disruption that shattered formation lines. Terran destroyers swarmed like wasps, overwhelming enemies with coordinated kinetic strikes. At the center, the Revenant broke through the defense line, engines overloading, guns firing until their barrels melted. Cade's voice came over the fleet-wide comms. For Earth, for every world they crushed. Light it up. As her ship plunged into the heart of the Scourge of Dawn, her team overloaded the main reactor and ejected the warp core. A pulse of pure energy detonated, ripping through the structure in a cascade of light. The weapon and the Revenant vanished in a blinding inferno. The Terran fleet watched as the symbol of Concorde dominance tore apart at the seams. When the light faded, nothing remained but drifting wreckage and stunned silence. On the Concorde capital world, the High Council's final session ended not in argument, but surrender. Strategist ZHYRK called delivered the terms himself. His image appeared aboard the Vindicator, kneeling before Admiral Voss. We fought to preserve an empire, he said. You fought for freedom. That's why we lost. Voss said nothing. He only nodded, and the transmission cut. Weeks later, the galaxy changed. The Concorde fell. Its empires fractured. Former slave species stood tall under a new banner, the Galactic Free Accord, with Terra as its beating heart. Humanity didn't rule, it rebuilt. Their fleets remained, not as conquerors, but as guardians. And across the stars, whispers spread, not of Earth's fall, not of their weakness, but of their wrath, their will, their unyielding might.